Hello and welcome back. We are on lesson 259, which says, Let me remember that there is no sin. A reminder that guilt is a story the ego made to keep you small. Yes, there may be mistakes, but and things that you learn, but sin. And when I say mistakes, mistakes aren't bad. It's just, it's just language, right? Oh, I've made a mistake, and what? Right? It's only the meaning that you give those mistakes that give you the impression that you've done something to feel permanently guilty for, or that you've done something so bad. But that's just a story the ego has created to make you um, believe that there's something wrong with you, to cut you off from the source of who you really are. But you can't cut yourself off from the source of who you really are. You can't cut yourself off from love. So how can sin exist if you are love? Just like Karina said in the previous lesson, you can't. It's an illusion. Sin is the clouds. The illusion of sin is the clouds. You are the sun, God, source, love, light, whatever you believe that is for you. The illusions of, even to be fair, mistakes and learning moments and sin and whatever are just the clouds, right? They're not who you are. The ego says, you fucked up. You need to do better. You're unworthy of this because of that. Blah 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 blah. But again, that's all stories and narratives. It's not who you really are. And it's those stories that keep you stuck in loops of fear, scarcity, lack, being unlovable. And this lesson is like to remind you that they're not true. It gets to end the cycle of shame and fear and guilt just like that, because they're stories. It's not the truth of who you really are. So I said at the beginning about um mistakes. We buy into the illusion of mistakes and learning from, because we believe we're on this journey of becoming, right? That's for a whole nother whole nother, I don't know, episode, not today. But the truth is, you don't need to become anything because you already are everything, right? But you did come here to experience the unfolding of whatever your life is going to look like, or does look like, or whatever you desire it to look like. So again, they're stories, and you get to choose whether you believe in them. And you don't have to believe in them because it's not who you are. But this lesson should not be unfamiliar to you, because the whole theme for this however many lessons has been about sin. So you should be fully aware that any of these thoughts that arise that make you believe in sin aren't true. So this is just to solidify that fact and to remind you of your true nature, and just to, I guess, summarize in the theme of this week or whatever. It's 10 lessons, I think, so 10 days. But like I said, it should not be unfamiliar for you to hear this from us today.
Yeah, so like Sammy said, we went over sin in the theme, which you, I hope, are reviewing every single day. And in that, I emphasize that sin isn't real. And that's what this is. We're inviting to see that sin is not real. Sin is simply the belief in the illusions. It's simply believing that the clouds are the real thing. But sin isn't real. The reason that there is a need to talk about sin, the reason there is a need to use a word sin is because we've believed the illusions, and it's the very illusion itself that leads to attack, that leads to fear, that leads to demanding punishment, that leads to suffering, that leads to distortion, that leads to believing the distortion, that leads to all those things that we consider bad in the world, although there's no such thing as good and bad. Um, and so we utilize a word for it, sin, but it's not, it's not real in its nature. It's just something where it's just a pointer to show you that that all these things are results of believing the illusion. And so the word we use is sin, is the belief in the illusion, the belief in the story, the belief in the dream. When the truth of who and what you actually are is love, is wholeness, is quote unquote pure, is perfect, right? And so we get to remember, we get to call in, we get to invite that remembrance that there actually is no sin, and we get to drop those stories, and we get to realize our true nature as the sun, as the source. We get to live from that space. Um, because when we talk about this stuff, it can feel so abstract. I know I've done this before. I know I've said this before because it can feel so abstract. You can always return to the teaching that I've given you guys before on on sitting and really like investigating what what effortlessly arises across the sense of sight, right? What effortlessly arises across the sense of sounds, across of hearing, of touch, of taste. What effortlessly arises across the emotion, the emotions and feelings. What effortlessly arises when you just witness and observe your thoughts, right? So these are all waves arising upon the ocean, but there is something witnessing them, there is something observing them. And that witness, that observer never changes regardless of whatever is effortlessly arising upon it. Whether it's something that's arising in your field of sight, like I can see like the ceiling fan is effortlessly arising in my awareness of sight. Sammy's image is effortlessly arising in awareness through sight. Um, there's the only sound I really hear is my own voice and the fan. Those are effortlessly arising in awareness, like through the vehicle of sound. Um, Emotionally, there's just a neutrality there right now that I guess is effortlessly arising. What else is effortlessly arising? It's so funny sometimes when you actually search for thoughts, you know thoughts will be there. It's so funny how that works. It's like, okay, now I want you to search for a thought, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, there's no thoughts. But that's a little tool you can use, right? Because those things are just happening. They're just appearing, they're just arising. But the witness never changed, the observer never changes, and that observer is the very sun that we're referring to. And all the clouds are those things that are arising, right? And so, well, well, yeah, all those things that are arising are like clouds, but also the beliefs. So the beliefs are just thoughts and feelings, right? So yeah, that's actually accurate. So those are all clouds, and then we charge them, right? So then we have thoughts and feel charged feelings, and then fear arises, and that's where beliefs come from. So I just wanted to kind of turn something abstract into something more tangible that you could witness and practice for yourself. So let's go to the prayer. God, I would be insane. I would be insane today. No, God, I would not be insane today. I would not be afraid of love, nor seek for refuge in its opposite. For love can have no opposite. You are the source of everything there is, and everything that is remains with you, and you are it. Sammy?
I love that you said that because I truly think that that was the truth. Because hear me out, when you start doing this, you feel like you're going insane, right? Don't you? Because there's so many times where I'm like, I must be going insane. Maybe I'm going insane. But like insane, like think about that word, insane. It's just like, I don't know. I just feel like it does feel, doesn't it? Because we've been born into this world. Um, and we're learning these new concepts and learning how to be completely different based on what we've been taught and programmed. So you will feel insane. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we digress. Thank you, everyone. We will see you tomorrow.